Good morning, my dear friends and family. Hello, hello. How are you doing and why don't you sleep? That's the question. So, today we will have, tonight we will have a tiny chatter. Katya there in the chat. Like, what, what happened? What happened? Today we'll have a tiny chatter because generally sleeping. Yes, my friend, that is the reason. Insomnia right there. I can't believe what's going on. It's 2026, and instead of bettering ourselves as humankind and explore our universe, something is better to start killing their neighbors. Absolutely. And not only that. Good evening, Maurice. Good evening, Russo Jap, and everybody else. I know that in the United States, quite a few people don't sleep, right? Anyways, it's really good to see you. Literally a couple hours ago, we watched this amazing horror Babadook, and I decided to go to bed because it was so scary, you know. And after that, I realized that I literally cannot sleep, as well as our friends from Finland and California, and yeah, sleeping is for babies 100%. Tennessee, hello, my friend. What can I say? Oh my God! Good morning from Thailand. Good morning to beautiful Thailand. California, 4 p.m. Not bad at all. Another proof that the Earth is round, no matter what they say. UK, they're in the chat as well. Why so many Europeans don't sleep 1 a.m.? I have no idea. Sweden here. Also Portland, Oregon. That's so cool. Oklahoma, New York, California. Hello from Cologne. Guten Abend. Yeah, I will take that as my fifth call sign. Czechia, again, so many people don't sleep for some reason, but on the other hand, it's really good because we can have a tiny conversation. Denmark, I understand why you guys don't sleep. Plus, my complete respect and admiration to you, my friends. Hey, brother. Hello there in the chat. Beautiful Canada is with us. Sweden, Cambridgeshire, England. That's absolutely amazing. Hello from California. Hello, my friend. So we will briefly check out some of the updates and have a chit chat. Because why not? All right. Because we have such opportunity. Internet connecting people. And by the way, we are joined by Glasgow, Scotland, right there, and also amazing Netherlands, and our German neighbors as well, and Indiana. Like, can you imagine how cool is that? 2026? And we are here in the same room, people from Indiana and people from Germany and people from Glasgow. If you think about it, this is something absolutely crazy. And what is the design of my mug? It looks like a map. Actually, it's astronomy. That's a mug with different astronomical signs, planets, and all the shit that I enjoy so much. Quebec also joins us, and Hong Kong. Oh my God, Jesus Christ! I don't see much people from Hong Kong, seriously, watching my streams, and I feel really honored. North Carolina, I've had quite a few friends from North Carolina, not only friends but also colleagues back in the early 2000s when I worked with one of the USAID projects. those guys. Cheers to the USA. Amazing people doing amazing job around the world. Where is the flat Earth on your cap? I think it's like somewhere on the bottom, like over there, as far as I can tell. It's white. Apparently, that's like Antarctica or something like that. Yeah, that's my favorite one because it's freaking huge. The cap itself, and no matter what they say, but the size matters. Good night. I have to go 5 hours. I have got 5 hours before I have to wake up. Not bad. I have to wake up in like 6 hours, and I don't feel like sleeping at all. Thank you so much. Much love to beautiful Puerto Rico. So you never sleep either. Since 2022, no, not really. I think that we all got a bit of sleep disorder since that day. Greetings from South Africa after 2 a.m. I got done things made my my eye, and it's just streaming and sore, so I can't sleep. I'm so sorry to hear that. Sorry to hear that. Let's check out several updates. All right, first let's have a small follow-up on the situation in Berlin right now, because I have a tiny publication, Radio Freedom, actually talking about the situation in details. They say that Ukrainian German center that was created by Ukrainian immigrants organized the invincibility points where people can get warm and charge their stuff. Also, the Berlin authorities report that the repairs will continue until 8th of January. I also checked that Ukraine officially doesn't cooperate in terms of repairs right there, because apparently local authorities have everything under control, which is absolutely great. And in case they need any additional assistance, I'm sure that Ukrainian government will also help with whatever they can. Near you, not Germany. At least we're neighbors, right? It's always night in Sweden in winter time, so why care if it's night or day? We get in bed when we're tired. The other day I watched a really cool horror movie called Let the Right One In. And there's also American remake of it called Let Me In. Kind of interesting. The very novel itself is really freaking dark. Like, the novel is insane, all right? It's like one of those novels that you read when you feel like, your life seems too joyful and bright, and then you walk depressed for like 3 days straight. I'll keep you company, my friend. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yesterday there was a 60-kilometer backup on a nearby road because of snow. Yes. Currently it's reported that the heavy snowfalls were recorded. Just a second. In the Netherlands, Germany, France, Poland, and also a bunch of other countries, huge snowfalls. I'm sorry. Welcome to the real life. It's winter outside. Holy shit. But on the other hand, while Europe is being, buried in snow, in the Orkistan, you can see that the people are having parties, because that you can see a Belgorod oil refinery right there. Beautiful, beautiful firework, as far as I can tell. Yeah, looks absolutely amazing. Or, as Kremlin says, everything's okay. Everything's under control and going according to the plan. 10th day of protests in Iran, according to different media outlets. 270, right? 270 settlements from 27 out of 31 provinces of Iran are facing mass protests. In Ilam, the puppets of Khamenei opened fire on protesters. Also, there are messages about the raids of the Iranian Spetsnaz that raided hospital where they thought the activists were taking refuge. Yeah, but that is something that inspires me so much. Frankly speaking, my thoughts are with the Iranian people right now because they deserve freedom and democracy, and that is exactly the process that we went through in Ukraine in 2013, 2014. And partially in 2022 as well. Is that a super barbecue fire? That is literally a fire of freedom right there, right? Because, we understand that Russians are feeling a bit cold. That is why good Ukrainian drones help them to get warm just a bit, all right? Like good neighbors. That shed that you can see right there, it's literally, it's not a pile of bricks. That's a Russian mask tent, all right, so-called. That is what it looks like. Very interesting design. Literally, instead of building fucking toilets and sewers in Russia, they do that shit to be able to kill more people. Russians being Russians, The Ministry of Defense of Germany recognizes Russia as the biggest and most direct threat to the safety of the country. In Berlin, it was reported that the Terrorist Federation is increasing its cyber attacks, acts of sabotage, and disinformation campaigns again, and all those terrorist attacks against the critical infrastructures in terms of hybrid warfare directed against the energy and defense sector. That is according to the Ukrainian Center for Counter and Disinformation. The German authorities state that hybrid attacks can become a preparation stage for the bigger military resistance in Europe, and also that the hybrid war of Russia against Europe is a long-term strategy and not a temporary or situational tactics, which is something that I've been talking about for quite a while, because Russians plan for long-term perspective. Yes, Raven, I started literally 14 minutes ago. You didn't miss anything, and generally speaking, we are just having, friendly chatter. I'm sharing some of my stuff from personal life and things like that, because why not? Hello, beautiful Stockholm. Yeah, the reason why I was talking about that horror movie, the Let the Right One In, Claire, hello as well, is because it takes place in Sweden in like 1983, something like that. That is vampire, related horror and drama. Kind of interesting. That's literally my lady. She wanted to say it. Kind of interesting, but I checked the novel, and that stuff is kind of dark. Yeah, but speaking of the lore, all right, where it takes place, literally sweet, and everything is freaking covered in snow, cold. Wherever you look, it's literally like white gray, all right? And this stuff looks like Ukraine so much in winter, because in Ukraine, that's what you see for like half a year, all right? I'm sure everyone already knows, but is that flag behind you is a Rubizh flag? Yes, that is a Rubizh flag. That is our combat flag, and these two, those are literally my patches. That's a National Guard patch, and that's the Rubizh patch. Those are literally my personal two patches, those that I was wearing all the time. And because Claire is here, kindly reminding me about the fundraiser that we are running at this point. We are running a fundraiser, as you probably know. It's a Christmas card for Rubizh Brigade. You can check out the link in the description, please. All right. I want to help my guys to receive a car, and I will really, really appreciate if you do that. We already collected 6,000 plus euro out of 11,000, and I can only say big thanks to everyone who helps and supports, because this is very, very important. The flag is cool. What's the symbolism? So on this flag you can see Ukrainian trident with the NATO cross inside, and that is basically the mission and ideology of my brigade, because it was formed in 2015 and trained according to the NATO standards. So we implemented the J or S structure like any other military unit in any other NATO country, and instead of this, vertical stupid command, we implemented kind of hybrid command. Why we couldn't do that completely, why we couldn't completely switch to the NATO structure of the staff, is because of the law. Because when something happens and military prosecutor comes to your brigade to investigate something, he will not care much about the sections of your headquarters, all right, or of headquarters of like a brigade, battalion, company level. He will care about the law, right? That is why we had this hybrid structure. The brigade command was the same as in any other unit of the armed forces of Ukraine, and the battalion, like level of battalions and companies, were structured like NATO units. And actually it worked. 2017, 2018, those were like, first tries in the real combat. 2019-20 on the Svetlodarsk, Balch, Zaitsevo, Travneva, that general area. Yes. Can you please shift over again? Yeah, there it is. It's like stylized, but you can see the main idea behind it, right? Yeah, so 2019-2020, the Svetlodarsk operation, that is where literally we could test our knowledge and skills that we obtained during those multiple military exercise with our NATO colleagues in Yavoriv, in Lviv Oblast. And actually it became a basis for the rest of the brigades of the National Guard of Ukraine, which is very, very, very cool, actually, knowing that a lot of Ukrainian brigades actually adopted our experience that we were pioneering, That's absolutely insane. Are you still in Germany? Does it snow a lot where you live? Not a lot. It's kind of snowing, all right? I literally ran my car for like half an hour, to charge the dying battery. But it kind of snowed hard today. It was snowing. Yeah. Now it doesn't snow at all. And I opened the hood and the fucking Mickey Mouse is still there, sleeping on the battery. Again, a bunch of rat feces and a bunch of nuts, stuff like that. At least he left me some nuts to chew. I do like the chevron update. The running interior borderline is a nice touch. Yeah. Absolutely. It's almost 5 p.m. here, but I'll make a cup of coffee and drink it with you guys. Yay! Let's join our tiny club. I have no idea, but again, it's... do you use regiment? Some of the units are using the regiment structure. My unit was literally a brigade, all right? We had 3 companies initially, then eventually we started growing more and more. 5, 6, and also we had a tank battalion, air defense battalion, all those basic brigade components, engineers and stuff. If you get a kill switch, your battery can drain if not connected. Yeah, I know that, but anyways, I need to replace it because I bought a new battery and it's literally there in the corridor. I just need to remove the old one and install the new one. I have a gang of squirrels that plot against me when I go out. Happens all the time. Like literally the other day I was driving to the gas station at night and I saw a bunch of foxes, literally like gopniks standing there like next to the road, checking out, the naive, helpless pedestrians. So, and it's considering that I literally live maybe not in the downtown, but in populated area. It's not like I'm somewhere on the outskirts. It's a populated area. I wonder if Americans would still be the biggest coffee drinkers if they didn't count Starbucks. I don't think that they are the biggest coffee drinkers. I'm here. Since Ukraine is doing a great job hunting with one-way drones, striking significant targets, we can observe this for quite a while. Actually, if you noticed, 2023, November, December, and starting that period, 2024, November, December, starting around that period of time, and until today, Ukraine only grows its capacity striking the Russian refineries. Something absolutely amazing. What is your feeling about Trump taking Venezuela and is now threatening Denmark about military intervention in Greenland? We talked about that in several previous streams. My position doesn't change. First, it's illegal to invade other countries like that. Second, Maduro is a freaking criminal and dictator. All right. And I think we all agree on this. Removing Maduro, of course, we understand that it's not because Maduro was a dictator, it was literally because of oil. All right, let's be honest and don't lie to ourselves, at least. But on the other hand, removing Maduro, it's when there is a criminal, all right, there is a bloody criminal somewhere in your neighborhood. And instead of calling police, you literally gather a bunch of guys, you find this criminal and make him good, all right? So the vigilante is a good concept, I agree on that, but when you commit a crime, it's still a crime. Me as a cop, I can understand and feel good people, who do this with proper purpose and stuff, imagining themselves Batmans and yada yada. But uh, when you break the law, you break the law. When you violate the rules, you violate the rules. Sorry, when you go and kill a maniac, you become a criminal yourself, all right? But when you have legal rights to do that, like Ukrainians, for example, have legal right to eliminate Russian scum wherever we find it, all right? It's a completely different story. As for the Greenland, yeah, I already I'm joking, but guys, don't think that I'm joking because, I don't care about Danes because I really do. We are on the same boat right now. I kind of joked yesterday in my community posts that let me see where it is that. Military deception tactics for Danes. Trump will not dare attacking Greenland if you temporarily stick a pole with a filthy Russian rug on it, somewhere in the open. Fight smart, cleanse the spot later with napalm and holy water. Yeah, we all need a joke or two, alright, from time to time, but the real situation is absolutely stinking fucking bad, alright? How come you want to take a land from your ally? Doesn't matter what you think about yourself, supreme country, whatever, leading economy, but you don't do like that. Putin will be extremely happy if that happens, of course. 100%, because that's exactly what he's looking for. And literally, if this shit actually happens and if Trump actually decides to invade another country, but not Venezuela, right, run by a dictator, but his allies, and destroy the unity within NATO, then I will literally have zero doubt about him being a Russian asset. Krasnov, all right, that will remove all the doubts in the world regarding this. Trump doesn't understand the concept of allies. Why? I mean, he's very good with Putin. You saw red carpet and stuff. He knows that you gotta appease the internationally wanted war criminals. On the other hand, I partially agree with you. He doesn't really understand this concept because to Putin, he's not an ally. He's just a tool. Trump is trying to get control over that sea road, the Northwest Passage. How exactly? Yeah, I agree with you, but why? It's not like they're not allowed to go there. All right. If you want to protect United States from the Northern Passage, just freaking station a bunch of buoys and sensors and navy in that area. That's it. Or literally call Denmark and say, dear NATO allies, can we station a bunch of our military there? And I fucking guarantee that Denmark will say, my dear friends, let us just warm up the coffee for you. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's down to Greenland to decide, and that admin for Denmark currently, yes, absolutely. And as far as we know, they already decided. They said, no, we don't want to be your state, United States. We're sorry. We love you. We enjoy McDonald's, but no, we are a different country. Don't forget about the military and police officers killed in Venezuela. Honestly, that's a bigger concern to me than kidnapping Maduro. Yeah, I agree on that. I'm Canadian, don't give a fuck. Your country is a fascist kleptocracy. Wake the fuck up. Yeah, good point. All right, and first of all, my love and respect to Canadian people. All right, because at some point we find ourselves more and more on the same side of the barricades. And when, during the previous streams, I'm saying that Ukraine supports the United States, it means that Ukraine supports American people more than what the rules are doing. What do Peter the Great and Vladimir Putin have in common? They both lead Russia to the... That's a perfect one. Oh my god. Yeah. They both lead Russia to the 18th century. I'm ashamed to be American because of Trump. Politics aside, there's good Americans. I know, my friend. You don't have to tell me that. I'm completely aware of that. And the biggest proof is all the beautiful people on the other side of the screen right now. Are you planning on making more skits? There's a lot of good content, like Russians using horses. Holy shit. Yes, that's a good idea. But returning to the good people, all right, on the other side of the screen, you don't have to tell me that. Guys, Ukrainians lived under the Russian occupation, all right, for 70 years. We participated in different shameful operations, all right. I think some of you know that in the Vietnam War, Ukrainians also participated as part of the special forces of the Soviet Union. We also participated there, and I personally know people who were involved in that operation on the side of the Soviet Union, supporting the Viet Cong, literally. So we did a lot of stuff that we are not proud of either, and we only did it because we were occupied. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, Ukraine, again, I consider my country being occupied by the pro-Russian forces, all right? Because when people start talking about, corruption in Ukraine, that is basically the main result of pro-Russian forces ruling Ukraine for decades after the collapse of the Soviet Union. So we know exactly well that there are good people out there. It's Lada. Oh my god, yeah. I literally wrote that song in like 5 minutes. It's like that. There's nothing easier. Jesus. Yeah. I fucked up the mastering process and all the mixing of all that. Just a bit, but generally I think wasn't bad. Alan, if you want to find my skits, you can find them in shorts. They're primarily in shorts. What do Putin and Peter the Great have in common? Answer: they are both shirts in the coat. Yeah. Putin wears high heels. Peter the Great, he was also wearing, like those huge boots, because when you look at Peter the Great's personal belongings in the museum, you can actually tell. Like, what's wrong with those small people, like tiny people, right? I have no idea. Is Bubba the canine guard dog on Epstein Island? That name is mentioned in the emails. That's interesting. I don't know. I know that there was a new batch of files several days ago. I didn't check them yet. All right. If U.S. occupies Greenland, then a U.S. military should be renamed to U.S. Occupational Force. I really hope that it won't happen, all right? Because if it does, that will be literally a big disaster, all right? Big disaster in terms of NATO unity and generally the world order. Because if we check out, all the streams, all the podcasts of the mega talking heads. The mega talking heads usually say, like, it's enough, all right? We should stop being involved in foreign operations, interfering with other countries, and yada, yada, yada. But then the dude goes, let's take Greenland. They go, fuck yeah, why not? Great idea. Do you have any tips on how to prepare on getting invaded? You should, first of all, prepare your home, all right, and have a clear understanding on what will your relatives and loved ones do, all right? If you decide, for example, to join a territorial defense or military unit, you gotta understand what will your loved ones do, all right? You gotta prepare your home for the air attacks, for shortages, for communication blackouts and internet blackouts. And also you should start learning about basic tactics, how to operate weapons and things like that. It's a very, very long topic, seriously. If you check out my Ukraine, hide your toilets. Yeah, that is very important. That I can confirm. But that's a very, very big topic, all right? Because if you check out my Ukrainian channel, like 2020, 2021, I made several dozens of videos for Ukrainians, how to prepare for war. And also, generally, you gotta prepare for the fact that if you even start, mentioning this to people who live in their convenient bubble, they will be very, very mad at you. Because if you tell people about things they generally don't like, all right, things that make them feel uncomfortable, they will be calling you do you have such word as panicist, panicist? Someone who spreads panic, all right, and stuff. It's a normal thing, all right. People were so mad when I tried to explain to them what to keep in their emergency backpacks in like 2021. Like my Ukrainian guys. They were so mad at me back then. Big toothy donkey kisses. Don Quixote. Kadyrov with his favorite donkey. Yeah, Don Quixote. Alarmists. Yes. Thank you so much. Hide your gold, silver, and crypto is like candy to the hordes, but not only that, because unfortunately you cannot hide your air conditioners, TV sets, sinks, taps, bathtubs, and shit like that. Literally, you need to take your whole house and just move it somewhere in this case. A fearmonger, yes, that's what the people used to call me back in the days. But actually, they listened. Actually, when I read the commentaries, they actually say, thank you so much for your advice. And it makes me a bit happier knowing that at least a few Ukrainian families actually were prepared, right, when the full-scale invasion started. Good morning to the beautiful Cardiff. I hope that you guys are doing great. I hope that you still have at least a few hamsters, right? They are nice. What's the difference between Russian government and a vacuum cleaner? There's only one dirt bag in the vacuum. Yeah, it's like every country has a mafia, but Russia is a mafia that has a country. I don't think that anyone who has suffered a sudden loss can say that, but stuff can't happen to me. Yes, unfortunately that's true. Are your Ukrainian prep videos still online? Yes, they're on my channel. One of them. I gotta check it out. But they're still there. I didn't delete them. 3 a.m. in Vilnius. It's 2 a.m. here in Germany. Yeah, you're 1 hour ahead. Not at all a fearmonger. You help so many. Doing my best, my friends. I always feel like I'm not doing enough, though. Did Berliners get their power back? According to the recent updates, still something like 30,000 houses were still without electricity, but they managed to return power to a bunch of like hospitals, clinics, the objects of the critical infrastructure. I literally checked. There was also an update on a lady that was found dead due to the consequences, right, related to this terrorist attack. Apparently she was exposed to cold or something like that, but I checked and there are no official mentions of that, so I cannot confirm this one. First thing I found out after public school, all that bad shit you read about in books, that shit can really happen to me. Yeah, Papadach, 100%. You always feel more confident in the end when you are prepared, right? We have dragons to keep us warm and cook our hamsters. Oh my god, that's amazing. Bad marriages, military service, bankruptcy, all that shit can happen. Yeah, I can tell. I went through practically everything. Like you described me right there, including my haircut, seriously, in this message. Yeah. Fearmonger, it's a great name for a metal band, I think. "7 p.m. in Mexico. One time, like back in 2020 something, I met a very, very good friend and PayPal from Brazil, but it was literally impossible to chat because of the time difference. It was literally like 12-hour time difference. I wake up, she goes like, I'm going to bed. She wakes up, I'm going to bed. So it was a nasty experience, but it was kind of fun. I have same haircut. Got tired of messing with it. Yeah, absolutely. You save a lot of money on shampoo. Absolutely. 7 p.m. in Mexico. My friend, tell me what's the situation there right now? How do people, like, what they feel like? What is the morale in the society? That's what I'm trying to ask. What time is in Germany? It's literally 2 a.m. Yeah, and I don't feel sleepy at all. I only need to buy a razor once, never paid for a haircut since. Yeah, same here. I have like a machine that I use, right? And I save a lot on shampoo because I don't use shampoo since like 2010, maybe. But you need a lot of polisher. Hello to beautiful Missouri. Hello, my friend. Everyone is sick to their stomach. I can confirm that. My lady actually one time told me that, and she showed a photo proof. She told me that in their area they have garlic shampoo. How crazy is that? Like, it doesn't smell like garlic, but when you look at the shampoo with garlic on it, that's kind of interesting. I don't know. Yesterday, by the way, yesterday my lady committed the cutest photobomb ever during the podcast with Rick the Ukrainian. If you want to see it, by the way, I got it right here.
Form in community, bring in people together.
That's like Rick the Ukrainian explaining something.
And sharing stories about Crimea from different perspectives. Inside the box, bless you. Bless you.
Bless you from our viewers. Thank you. Yeah, so that was kind of fun. That is like, a coming out. That is what it looks like. Yeah, but it was kind of fun. Also, I still have quite a few of like Iranian sweets right here, which I gotta finish someday. Garlic is good for you. Yeah, 100%. When you want to find or like expose Ukrainian recon team, all right, that's literally if you are in the forest somewhere and you can feel this extreme smell of garlic coming from who knows where, that's a good indication that Ukrainian recon troops are somewhere in the area, all right, because we like that stuff for some reason. My son is bald. As a gift, I gave him a stick as a cam. Oh, back in the days, in like 2020 something, 2019, we were in Kharkiv and we went to the canteen. And in the canteen, besides all the stuff, you can also sometimes buy, like supplies like threads, needles, and shit. And they were also selling the combs. And I actually bought one. You might ask why. So, according to the Ukrainian field manual, you, as a serviceman, you gotta always carry the what we call necessor. I'm not sure if you call it like that as well, but basically that is like threads, needles, comb, toothbrush, like, everything. So everything is described in the field manual. And if you don't have a comb in your necessor, then it's like a violation. You're violating a law, and I literally never had it. All right, so in Kharkiv, when we were in that military base, I went to that canteen and I bought myself a comb, and everybody's like, "What the hell are you doing there?" I'm like, I am not a criminal. I'm not gonna violate a law, my friends. I need this comb. And I carry the comb all the time in my pockets. It was kind of cool. The novel is a way darker than the movie. Lots of changes in the American version. Mainly, a girl is a girl. Yes, that one. Plus, in the American version, for example, they introduced a policeman. All right, he wasn't there in the Swedish version. I don't know. I cannot tell like which version is better because I saw them both. Seriously, I saw the Swedish one. But because I am audialist, all right, like I receive information primarily through my like ears and eyes. Because when you watch a movie with subtitles, you just read. Like I personally, I just read, all right. I don't watch the movie, I just read. So that is not that good. And the Swedish version is really nice in terms of showing the Swedish reality, showing the way they play in the movies, all right, like the way they transfer the emotions and like it's actually really cool. The American version was also interesting, but at the same time, if you watch American version, one thing that my lady, for example, noticed is that the conversations, the script is completely the same. Completely, like their conversations. We only found several discrepancies, like one or two. Everything else is absolutely the same, but at the same time, they had just a few more details than in the Swedish version. For example, Tommy or something, the one in the novel, that like rebellious teenager, he is at least mentioned, all right, in the American version versus Swedish one. So I've got a... Oh my god, Ammo Squad donated to get you over Euro 7,000. Jesus, wait a second. Let's check it out, my friends. Let me see. Car. It's there. All right. It didn't show yet, but we are almost there. We are approaching. We are approaching our goal here. Check out all the legendary people. Guys, you have absolutely no idea how much I appreciate this. Because literally that's my first car for my guys. Alright. Thank you so much. Thanks everyone for your support. I've got a poster from a documentary. Garlic is as good as 10 mothers. Can't remember anything about the documentary, but it's a good poster. Garlic is as good as 10 mothers. I associate garlic with borscht personally because we eat garlic with borscht, right? In Ukraine, you consume everything with the sour cream, but also you consume pretty much everything with garlic. the chicken, like you can find garlic pretty much everywhere, except for like cakes and pies. Garlic shampoo should be dispatched to all captured Russians. It doesn't matter. I mean, like, generally shampoo. It doesn't matter what sort of shampoo. But they all deserve to be washed. Because we call them dirty bombs, all right? In, like, among ourselves, every single time we capture some Russian, we call him a Russian dirty bomb. In one barracks I lived in, they were so picky on barrack inspections. We taped over the trash baskets with a note saying, "Do not use for inspection purposes only." Oh, those inspections! Oh my God! Did I tell you the story when we had an inspection at our position, like back in 2017 or 18? That one was an absolutely crazy story. I remember Starsky mentioning garlic. I made the whole tea a couple days ago. Oh my God. How much time did it take? Because I know that this process is extremely time consuming, especially if you're preparing the cabbage leaves. That is very, very much time consuming. That is why I never made holub tea myself, but you have my complete respect, my friend. Baked garlic on fresh bread is amazing. I tell you this, one time, it's always good to see you try ashwagandha to help sleep. Thank you. I'll check it out. So Krasnohorivka 2015 November, like October, November, very cold. I'm sick and we only have a bunch of bread for food. We had a bunch of buckwheat without anything else. All right. Primarily, our ration consisted of buckwheat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and also a bunch of bread that we couldn't eat because people don't eat that much bread, right? And I was really sick, and one of the reasons why I couldn't recover for several weeks, all right, going to patrols, it's cold, sleeping in like a very, very cold room and stuff. The reason why I couldn't recover was because I couldn't eat proper food as well as other guys. So at some point I realized that we have a fuckload of bread and we have a fuckload of garlic. We can combine. So I started doing toasts. I literally cut the bread, I fry the bread, I make toasts, and then I just take a bunch of garlic and I rub it, all right, against those toasts. Toasts with garlic helped me recover within like a day or two. Seriously, it was that good, and everybody actually liked them because, you know, when they're fresh toasts, when they're hot, when they smell like garlic with salt, that is something absolutely cool. Garlic and honey is strong anti-inflammatory and antibacterial, viral, fungal. Yeah. Garlic and honey, though. Onion and honey. My grandma used to make jam out of onion and honey. Jesus. So the story about the inspection, I'm not sure if I told you that one. Please let me know if you know, like I'm repeating the same shit over and over again. But we had an inspection on our position, 2017-18. It was kind of cool. So I am a platoon sergeant in my platoon. And we are expecting an inspection to colonels from the main headquarters. So I'm meeting them in the middle of the night, not like middle of the night, late evening, all right? And back in those days, we had the so-called wall regime. It means that during the day, we are not shooting at Russians. Russians don't shoot at us. But then, in the evening, when the OSC goes to bed, all right, the Russians start either shelling us or shooting their heavy machine guns. And I'm expecting this inspection. Two colonels arrive and they start like walking around, looking under the beds. You can imagine a freaking bunker, all right? Basically a cave in the clay, in that, permafrost in Donbass. So it's not barracks. It's not even a bunker. It's literally a cave, all right, with a bunch of beds. And they walk, they look under the beds and stuff, and that's like a forward position. So I take them to the next position where Bogdan was, all right. They go there, and from that position, you can actually observe the other bank of the Svetlodarsk Reservoir with Russians. So they see that no one is shooting, everything's fine, everything's quiet, and they start like asking like stupid questions, like, what do you do with the round cases? All right. We're like, what the hell should we do with the round cases? They're like, you didn't know, you should like collect them. We're like, what? Seriously? Like stupid stuff like that. And they keep asking stupid questions. They expected to find some drunk people, apparently, at my position. Naive guys. But our guys look very, very much, I would say, dissatisfied with the fact that, they were permafrost in Donbass. The clay, all right, that freaking soil is literally like clay. It's very hard to dig. Very hard to dig. One time I spent literally 7 hours trying to dig a toilet, all right, in that clay. I call it permafrost, all right, but actually that's clay mixed with like coal and actually soil. And my guys look very, very dissatisfied. They're like, what are they doing here? Like, why are they here, And my commander is there as well, my platoon commander, Oberleutnant, all right? Or was he a captain already? Doesn't matter. But we are there, and I see that my commander is also like, meh, my guys are like pouting. And eventually we can hear like raising sounds, growing sounds of, like lazy combat, right, somewhere not far from us. Starts with Russians shooting a burst of using their automatic grenade launcher. Then our guys reply with heavy machine gun, and it's like very lazy, like they shot a burst, we shot a burst, like from our side. And because it was kind of unexpected, because it was, like quiet evening, the colonels are like, oh, so what the hell is going on? And my guys like look at me, with puppy eyes, and they go like, Saj, can we do something? Like we don't want them here. with those fucking inspections. Like, what the hell? I'm like, guys, are you sure? They're like, yeah, sure. I'm like, okay, 3 minutes to prepare. After 3 minutes, I walked to to our kitchen. It was like in the middle of their position, and I started literally shouting like crazy, "Alarm! Alarm!" Everybody prepare, go to your position. And the guys, because like that's like lazy shootout there, somewhere on the flank. And the guys are like giggling, that like they're laughing, and they start running around with their machine guns, taking cover and stuff. And my commander looks at me like, I can see that he smiles. He's like, shakes his head dismissively, but smiles. All right. And Bogdan runs somewhere, like with his AK. He's running to the Deshaka that was installed there, like, alarm, alarm. And I can see that those two colonels are running as well. And one of them literally jumps into like a pit that was enforced with the sandbags. But he didn't really know that that pit was used literally as, a trash pit. So he jumps there. Actually it's kind of fun, when you see colonels running. It's terrifying, but fun as well. So my commander goes to those two colonels, and he goes, "Dear gentlemen, we have to go back to our position because you can see like the shooting is increasing, so it becomes like dangerous." In reality, it's not, because in reality, when you hear like dudes having a shootout, like lazy shootout, somewhere freaking 3 kilometers away from you, of course it doesn't mean anything. But you can see tracing bullets flying. You can hear like boom, boom, boom. Like, if you don't know what it means, then you can actually even get a bit scared, But they were not like combat colonels. They were literally two guys who went on a trip, with their inspections. So I can understand them completely, but they looked very terrified. All right. And I think you have them in every army of the world, all right? So, and they're like they're actually scared. Apparently they were even more scared because I was screaming, all right, to the guys. I was actually screaming, and they were their eyes were like this. And we are going through the field all the way back to my position. Before that, my platoon commander says, "Okay, gentlemen, we gotta go back to the position. Please keep your distance between the serviceman, at least 5 meters, all right? Because that shed is kind of sketchy, all right?" And they're like, "Yeah, yeah." And we start walking, and I see one colonel that literally, like, he starts walking faster than everyone else and goes like, all the way into the head of the column. And then we arrive to my position. I turn around, I can see the other one, and I ask, "Sir, were you the Zamykаючий, holy shit. Were you the last one in the column?" All right? Because when you walk in the column, according to all the possible rules, besides holding your sector, you gotta also see the back of the person in front of you, and you should always turn back and check out the person who walks behind you. Every single time, all right? Every 3 seconds you gotta do that. So I asked him, "Were you the last one in the column?" He's like, I don't know. I'm like, oh, damn. You see, sir, if there were people behind us and they, if we left them behind, we have to return. The dude literally runs to, like, they just get in the car and fucking GTFO. And we're standing there, I'm like, chuckling, and my platoon commander was like, not like I approve what you did, but I understand, all right? It was kind of fun. Yo, hello, my friend. How are you doing? An excellent training evolution. I hope you never got inspected by those two guys again. I think I've never seen them after that. But imagine like returning back to Kyiv and going like, we've been to the war, we've seen shit. Literally, that's what we were talking, with our guys. We're standing there smoking open in the field because we know that it's not dangerous, and imagine them right now, like in that car, talking about this, and it was like 4 years before the full scale. Like, imagine them in that car going back to their hotel and like talking about this, like, we've seen some shit, bro, like, brofist, it's like we were baptized with bullets, all right? Oh my God. So my platoon was the first platoon that was actually historically, all right? I am having sushi. What can I say? We love you, my friend. We absolutely do. Which question? Let me see. I read in one book that the war in Donbass was slowly dying down, even that some units were no longer shelling each other, but firing into the empty space. Look, it had several stages. First of all, the hottest period was 2014. Then since 15 until 2019, it was kind of quiet. But in 2019, when President Zelensky was elected and he ordered to remove our artillery from their positions deeper into the rear, Russians started using this as opportunity to get closer, and the war escalated in 2019 and all the way until basically until 2022, when the full-scale invasion started. It wasn't like they were shooting into the open. They would not do that. Why? Because there were observational missions of OSCE that would, sometimes have a ride around our positions, around like Russian positions, record everything, and also they had acoustic sensors to record all the shootouts and shellings, and also the UAVs, all right? So their task was to observe the situation and report to the United Nations, all right? The task that they did I cannot say that they were very much lazy, all right? But they would never report everything, all right? We'll talk about that another time. But during, for example, 2017, 18, and early 2019, it would be actually very, very bad if you were spotted shooting, all right, in the daytime. Like, why would you do that? So we were ordered to actually avoid shooting as much as possible unless there's a direct threat to our lives, and then we would fight back. 2018. Again, it also depends on the position because, for example, Troitska, there were fights every single night. If we're talking about places like, I don't know, very, very long front line, all right? Not as big as today, but still 700, 1,000 kilometers, something like that. And the hottest spots on this very, very long front line, there are just a few. Avdiivka, Zolote, then the Svetlodarsk Bulge, that whole span, all right, from Troitsk and all the way to like Zaitsevo, all right. That's the Svetlodarsk direction. So that one was also a hot spot. Avdiivka I mentioned. Mariinka sometimes, all right. It was a hot spot in like 2015-16. Then it slowly de-escalated. But still, the Russians still continued to work there. Verkhnyoturetska, again, time to time. So there were spots where artillery was actually used all the time. All right. There were spots where nothing would happen for months. All right. And that was the most dangerous, actually. I remember one time they destroyed a bunker, a Ukrainian bunker, killing 4 Ukrainian Marines at once, instantly. Right, and those were very, very young guys. Like, I still remember their pictures. They were very young, like 20 max. Why it was dangerous when they didn't shoot? It's because when you go to the position, you are aware that, all right, you're in position, you have to wear your armor all the time. You have to do your duties, all right? Don't relax, keep concentrated and stuff. If they don't shoot, if there's nothing happening, all right, in the area, after approximately 2 or 3 weeks, you start losing concentration. You start wearing flip-flops, shirts, all right, and stuff because nothing happens. And then fucking shell arrives and the tragedy happens. That is why I know a lot of such cases, right? That actually happen to people I know. So when they shoot, it's dangerous. When they don't shoot, it's also dangerous because you lose your concentration over time. And then when something happens, you're not prepared. So that is, by the way, the reason why we had constant rotations within my company, all right? We had a battalion tactical group there. So within our company, we had constant rotations. Platoon is on the position, some specific period of time, platoon rotates with another platoon. So that's what it looked like. It's been years. I get when non-Slavs butcher words like Dnepropetrovsk, but Donbass not that hard. So Donbass with M, it's from that meme when Russians were saying "Они дамбили Бомбас." He wanted to say they bombed Donbass for 8 years, but he ended up saying they dumped Bombas, all right, which was kind of funny. It turned into a meme in Ukraine. And that is why when sometimes we say Donbass literally because of that, because it's kind of meme. They dumped the Bombas for 8 years straight. President Zelensky has really difficult astrology starting in February. We all have that, my friend. We have, the different astrology, sleep disorder and stuff. But on the other hand, I believe that whatever happens to us, it's up to us if we give up, all right, if we give up to the situation, or if we become better and stronger. And I believe that any situation can bring something good. Because, for example, I wake up knowing that I have thousands of friends, literally. Thousands of people that I can actually meet in the real life. And not starting with like, hello, I'm Andrew, nice to meet you. And they'd be like, why the fuck should I even know you, all right? But I know that I can literally go and see those people and be absolutely happy to see them, all right? People on the other side of the screen. So that is something that we have due to this horrible tragedy that is taking place in Ukraine. But again, it's something that not only improved us as a nation, but also something that reminds ourselves of what the real decency is, And it's actually very important. I've noticed that the Dovboyob terrorist Kozel crew have decided Kharkiv Echo Park is full of NATO bases again. Yeah, unfortunately. It's not like they decided, they just do it every single time and say shit because they have to say something, all right? As if somebody believes them. Ukrainian and Russian are two different languages. Yes, of course. They're very different. They're like Belarusian and Czech. Hello to beautiful Romania. I hope you will inject the invaders from your country and wish Ukraine a judicious, long-lasting peace. Thank you so much. Starsky made me cry. Mom, if you're watching this, I'm very, very sorry. I didn't... it wasn't my intention, all right? Professor Gerdes has a video saying EU voted to send troops to Ukraine. Haven't seen that one yet, but I'm sure what they were talking about was most probably the peacekeepers sometime in future, all right? Basically, EU voting to send troops to Ukraine is like Ukraine proclaiming that it will become a member of NATO sometime, all right? Sometime in like 3185. He did it on purpose. No, it wasn't my purpose, but I'm absolutely honest that you guys are my motivation. You know that, all right? It was 28 Fahrenheit today, but went hunting anyways. 28 Fahrenheit, is that cold? Or hot? I don't have the staying power for these long sessions. So good night, my friend. Thank you, and I appreciate that you spent some time with us. I still don't feel like sleeping at all. Like I kinda do, but I can't. Maybe Greenland should hire armed forces of Ukraine to defend it. I don't even want to think about the possibility of this, because on one hand, the biggest risk for NATO, if Russia somehow manages to take Ukraine, all right, somehow. The biggest risk for NATO is that the core of the Soviet army, so much feared around the world, which was always Ukraine, will return back, all right, into the Russian Empire, and Russia becomes stronger tenfold, all right, using all the Ukrainian drone technologies combined with the Russian drone technologies, all the hybrid warfare and stuff. Basically, we will see like the most terrifying, inhumane terrorist force since like 1939, all right? That will be a complete disaster for the world. At the same time, like now we are fighting against Russians, and the very fact that Europe will actually have to be involved in a war with the United States, with its ally, that is something as terrifying as that, But so far, we should observe and see what is happening. We gotta be mentally prepared, all right, that all sorts of crazy shit might happen. Good night. Wishing you well and sweet dreams. Have a nice rest. We will guard the internet space so far. The USA knows about fighting against Russians in Greenland, that Greenland and Denmark don't already know. Yeah, I agree on that. The very fact there is absolutely no way Russia wins against Ukraine. They cannot, all right? Stalin in 3 years went all the way to Berlin. Putler in 4 years is still struggling in Pokrovsk, that is like 60 kilometers from Donetsk. Like, what are we talking about? Even considering like all the technology and all that shit, and alliance with North Korea and China and Iran, there's no way they can win in Ukraine. Yeah, but this one, guys, I also hope that Trump is trolling. But at the same time, why are they saying that? In my personal opinion, that is a message that is designed for the internal audience, all right? That is a message that is designed to show that we are the supreme nation, we are great, everybody should listen to us, all right? And we can do that. I made America great again, that is like the main message. I can see a lot of indications that it's actually propaganda. But on the other hand, if we don't react to this, it will be very, very bad. Currently, all European countries, and not only European, but generally the countries around the world, should show their very, very strong position on Greenland. And so far, I cannot see probably any country supporting Trump's idea of taking control over Greenland. Maybe besides Russia, all right? Russia and North Korea would be fucking happy about this. There is a Romanian group called Getica that is fighting alongside armed forces. No, I have not heard about those guys. I cannot remember anything like that. You must take it seriously because sometimes Trump does do what he says. Yeah, again, yesterday I listened to Miller and he was basically explaining that Trump's position on Greenland was always his official position and stuff like that. I didn't hear Trump, again, correct me if I'm wrong, I didn't hear Trump talking about taking Greenland before the elections. Because that would be freaking insane. He only started talking about it after the elections, as far as I remember. As a matter of fact, Stephen Miller and Kirill Dmitriev look like cousins. They look like fucking twins, in my personal opinion. Watch the video Infiltrated, how the USA buys Greenland's elite. I can actually imagine that, all right? We talked about this today on the stream. One thing that I learned returning to our previous topic, all right. Since 2022, I learned several things, at least 3. One thing is that some people are extremely delusional, all right? And why they are delusional? Because they just don't have the experience, right? The personal experience. For example, there are people who think that Ukraine enjoys being invaded, all right? That Ukrainians find like the purpose of their life, all right, in the war. And a lot of those people, unfortunately, you can find in the MAGA community. Why do they think so? Why do they think that Ukrainians they prefer, to fight as long as possible? Because apparently Ukrainians enjoy it for several reasons. Reason number 1 is, let's be honest. Some of those guys who actually have military experience and they say these cringy things about Ukraine, they have military experience. I completely respect them for this. But let's be honest, in most cases, they would face guys wearing like flip-flops, all right? And sometimes their deployments would look like recording a video of their A-10s doing brrr, all right, on those guys wearing flip-flops. If you ask Nakin Fats Yuri, my friend, or any other American volunteer who actually fought in Ukraine against somebody armed with fucking artillery and drones and ATGMs, you can actually ask them if war is cool, if war is something that you can enjoy, all right? That is something that I learned about people being delusional. Also, I learned that people can be ignorant because you can see a lot of patriots, all right, like America first or Germany first or any country first, all right. They say, Ukrainians, you should just accept that if you keep fighting, you will lose a lot of people, and you should just give up to Russia, all right, to save your people, to save your future. I realize that it's very, very easy to be a patriot in a safe country with leading economy, where you don't have curfews and you can drive your car and wear, patriotic t-shirt all day long, all right, without any risk of being hit, bombed, hit with a missile and stuff. It's very, very easy to be patriot. But when they say shit like that to other patriots that are actually fighting, it tells a lot about them, what kind of patriots they really are. Because I don't think that they would actually act in a different way than Ukrainians. However, who knows? Maybe that's something that they would actually do, all right? Being invaded by some big terrorist regime armed with drones, missiles, bombs, and tanks, and North Korean mercenaries and stuff. That tells a lot about what sort of patriotism they really have inside, what sort of patriots they really are, actually. Because there are things that people actually don't understand if they didn't go through this. But it's a normal thing, because it's very hard to understand somebody with skills and experience that you don't have yourself. Ukrainians have this experience and skills obtained in the Revolution of Dignity, in the hybrid war against Russian invaders, in the full-scale invasion. And it's I don't really blame them for not having that, all right? Because things like that are the real proof of your patriotism, I believe. It's like a real test, all right? I spent 10 years serving in the army as one of the longest serving volunteers, all right? I didn't join army because I wanted cool tattoos and tell chicks, the cool stories in the bar. I joined the army because we needed people, all right? And I served 10 years voluntarily. So I can talk just a bit about being a military and a patriot, all right? But besides those things, I also learned about decency. And I learned that you can find people around the world that will support you unconditionally, all right? That will be with you, that will stand for you because they have empathy, all right? And since the day I learned about this, I keep evolving myself, thanks to you, thanks to all the people on that side of the screen. I learned that you can actually be decent unconditionally. And the feeling, the feedback, right, the emotional feedback that you have from being simply, decent to other people and having empathy to others, The emotional feedback is just the best thing in the world because you cannot buy it, no matter how rich you are, even if you're Donald Trump. But that's the kind of emotion that you will never find anywhere else. You cannot buy it in any 7-Eleven, all right? And that's something absolutely inspiring. I'm the kind of maniac that thinks about getting big tractors from the farmers in Poland and bringing them to Ukraine. Papadach, we will need to. Ever been to the Bulldog in Amsterdam? I've been to the Amsterdam, but I don't know what the Bulldog is. Speaking of tractors, we will need them probably after the war because, let's be honest, today big slow machines, they are not very reasonable. All right, we are not only talking about Ukraine. Currently, the warfare changes. All right, based on what is happening in Ukraine, the warfare changes very, very much. The same kind the farmers in Poland blocked aid with, as a matter of fact. Well, that I think Polish people can tell those farmers a few things. The Bulldog, a hashish bar. No, haven't been there. We've been to the red lights district. That one was cool. History will show later that these times are Europe's finest hour. I hope so, and I believe in this, actually. I believe in this. We have a chance, either we remain a strong united Europe, or we just fucking get disrupted and dissolve into a bunch of separate weak countries that Russia will just swallow one after another. But I believe that Europe has a strong future. Are Ukrainians farming their lands close to the fighting? It depends. For example, the gray area, something that we would call zero back in the days, all right, the no man's land or nobody's land. Currently, this gray area can be as wide as 20 kilometers, all right, and close to the gray area, our farmers don't do anything because there are so many cases of Russians literally hunting farmers, killing civilians that were working in the field, so it's very, very dangerous to do that. The reason why the no one's land, all right, why the front line is so wide, all right, 20 kilometers wide, is because of FPV drones and the fiber optic drones, the drones that are controlled with the fiber optic cable. They have a range of 10-15 kilometers nowadays. Some were reported like 20 kilometers. There were strikes of FPV drones recorded in Kramatorsk, and those who were in Kramatorsk, I cannot say that it's like very, very close to the front line. There's quite a distance. But for example, 2023, when I was in Kramatorsk for the last time, that was basically like a deep rear. That was like a very, very safe place. All right. Besides missiles that sometimes hit pizzerias and restaurants and people's houses, besides that, you would hardly expect some kind of danger in that area. Nowadays, you can see that the drones are being used there as well. Good night, my friend. have a good rest. Fiber has been reported up to 40 kilometers these days. Yes, yes. The footage of villages and fields covered in fiber optic cables is absolutely, absolutely wild. Yeah, and you can imagine that even moving across that terrain in vehicles, let alone on foot, is kind of hard. All right. I'm trying to figure out which towns need more help. Zaporizhia, Kharkiv. Like if we're talking about the big ones, the major cities, Zaporizhia, Kharkiv, Kherson, of course. Kherson is very, very underreported these days. Can you get me some samples of that optical cable? I would like to do some testing on it. You can literally Google what sort of cables they're using. It's easy to find. Mostly the Chinese stuff, of course. Even without a big stupid wall, I really don't think the USA needs to fear South America. The real problem is and always has been Russia, 100%, because South America doesn't wage the informational warfare, which is something very dangerous for the American society in the first place, and something primarily ignored in the American society. Not the cable Ukraine is using, the cable Russia. I can ask my brother. He has all the data on that. And if you need one, you can easily order through like AliExpress and have it delivered. US Canadians, us Canadians, oh my god, us Canadians know people who know firsthand that defense with allies is mutually beneficial. Absolutely, absolutely. When you go to a bar, all right, when you have a conflict, all right, somewhere in the pub, of course, it's always when you're with your buddies, all right. Everybody knows that. Everybody. At the same time, there are quite a few bullies that think that they are the biggest, the strongest, and everybody should be afraid of them until they meet like several angry guys with fists, all right, and they teach this bully a lesson. This is the way it works with Russia nowadays, all right, even though physically we're not in the same trench, but Ukrainians are supplied with stuff from around the world. Yeah, but de jure, this is like this. De facto, I can say that we're still on the same side and we're still punching that bully in the face, all right, with our fingers, combined into fists, rather than just slapping him. We're fucking punching. That is the main idea of being united. There is a main idea of unity and collective security. Don't slap your enemy, fucking punch him in the face. YouTube, I hope you will not destroy me for that, right? But that is the philosophy, right, behind being united. You always feel more secure, more confident when there are guys beside you, clenched. Yeah, thank you so much. When there are guys beside you that you can rely on, and the guys that can rely on you, all right? It's an obvious fact. It's always much better than just, like, I have black belt in jiu-jitsu, I have the biggest legs, all right, in my kickboxing gym, I can just fucking destroy all the enemies, all right, easily. I don't know. Aim small, miss small, Ukraine. 50 pairs of mock boots are coming. Yay! Yay! Awesome. I had lower boots. I had lower boots that I've been wearing for like 2 years straight, and they were my favorite footwear, right? It's always best when they walk away with a Yeah, I agree on that. Because unfortunately, there's only one way to teach a bully a lesson. Let's be honest. But when they are taught that lesson, it always works. Story of the man, 9 sons, and a bundle of sticks. Did you see the Planet of Apes? Together, apes strong. You know. I was just talking with someone the other day, and we agreed that part of the problem today is that not enough people have been. Yeah. I also agree on that. But I would not call them people, right? Because the things they do, people usually don't do. Every day when they look in the mirror, they see. Yeah, absolutely. The problem with the terror Russians, was the problem with them. After the Second World War, the Nazi regime was punished, the fascist regime was punished, the militarist regime was punished, but the communist regime that also eliminated millions of people, including its own people, wasn't punished at all. Ukrainians lost millions of people due to this war. When Ukraine was occupied for several years by the Nazi troops, they literally eliminated a lot of Ukrainian population, not necessarily Jewish people, like Jewish gypsies, they were eliminated as well, taken to the concentration camps, but the Ukrainian population, all right, people like me and you, they were also eliminated a lot. And if you look at the statistics, Ukraine lost on par with rest of the Soviet countries that participated. They probably lost more people than anybody else. And at the same time, the communist regime was never punished for that. They were never punished for Holodomor in Ukraine. They were never punished for their crimes, which makes them feel invincible, right? Which makes them feel untouchable in terms of the law, all right? In terms of law-based order, they feel untouchable. They think that they can literally do whatever the hell they want. And it's very, very dangerous to see the same tendencies, for example, in the White House. even in the Russian prison culture, if we talk about, that filth, literally. But because I was a cop, I know just a bit about that. So even if we talk about the Russian prison culture, they have a thing that is called беспредел. Let me translate this one, because I have no idea. Okay, Google, translate this, please. Lawlessness. Really? Lawlessness. Well, this is the closest term, all right? Lawlessness. So in Russian prison culture, of course, they have like a set of different rules, all right, that you should stick to. Hello, my friend. They have a set of different rules that you should stick to, and they define lawlessness as if you don't recognize any law, any rules, all right? If you don't recognize the prison codex in the Russian prison, so that is considered like the biggest crime among the criminals, all right? If you don't recognize any rules, then they don't respect you, all right? And this stuff still exists in Russian prison culture, even among Ukrainian convicts. This stuff still exists. They will not respect you. Like if you're a big dude who thinks that he can do whatever, they will not respect you for that, which may actually result in different horrible consequences. Every war college in the world will study stomal defense forever. Most probably they will just study this in terms of, how to avoid failing as bad as Russians did. Maybe. All right. But I can say that our guys did a great job. Me personally, I didn't change, the course of war with my participation in Hostomel, but our guys that were actually repelling the Russian paratroopers, Russian elite Spetsnaz, directly there at the territory of the airports, they are legends because they were primarily young guys, conscripted with necessary knowledge. And basically, they turned a lot of those Russian elite warriors into a literal fertilizer there. I know some places where you can still find them, the Russian paratroopers. I know like a few spots in the area. Do you think there will be another Black Swan event in Russia, like Prigozhin drive to Moscow? That's a good question. They have quite a few leaders of opinions who can actually do that. In case the situation benefits. I would say, in case the situation benefits, then something like that may absolutely easily happen. Were the terror Russians in Hostomel airborne? Yeah, they had quite a few cargo helicopters, like Mi-8s, and they landed something between 250 and 350 Russian paratroopers, Dzerzhinsk Spetsnaz, Pskov airborne, all that crap. So they had approximately 3 3, maybe 4 companies of airborne troops that landed in 3 groups, 2 in the airport and 1 more to the north from our base. And we had, like me personally, we had a contact with those that tried to infiltrate the base, and the conscripts, the supply battalion that we had, they were taking the fight in the area of the airport. One funny and actually crazy thing is that a lot of Russian high-ranked officers actually took part in that attack, and I'm talking about like pilots, because there were quite a few attack helicopters, and those attack helicopters were actually piloted by like colonels. Imagine it's like when a colonel commands a platoon somewhere, all right, at a position in infantry terms, all right. That's freaking crazy. But why high-ranked Russians? So they thought that there will be no resistance and they will receive medals. Because Farah, the guy that was responsible for shooting down their helicopters there with the manpads, my friend, he said that the intelligence later found evidence that in those helicopters that he shot down, there were literally like colonels and majors controlling them, which I actually believe, because they all wanted awards, all right, for easily taking Hostomel. They died. In Hostomel, the airport where the... Yeah, that's the one. When we ran out of ammo, we withdrew from the airport, and we had a drone in the area, and there was the 72nd Brigade coming from Bila Tserkva. They had MLRS, but before the armed forces of Ukraine cratered the runway, we cratered the runway because we had, I believe, 3 or 4 howitzers there. So majority of our brigade was in the Donbass. It was deployed there already near Trehizbenka, in that area. But despite the fact that like all the tanks and stuff, they were there, besides several tanks that were being repaired at the base, we still had several howitzers that were located in the area, so they were aimed literally at the airfield. That was the idea of our commander that I didn't know about. But when we ran out of ammo and withdrew from the base, our commander gave the order to our howitzers to open the fire and crater the runway. And then he also connected with the 72nd Brigade, and those used their MLRS to strike the runway and the concentration of Russian airborne troops. Now I know I should cross the street if I see you coming. Cross the street like Ukrainians do, you know, like svat, 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 like this. You know, that would be funny. Yo, OCT, hello. Don't worry, first of all, thank you for joining us, and secondly, don't worry about that, everything is recorded. Plus, we're literally having a midnight chat. I almost finished my coffee already. Proper time to go to bed, don't you think? You spoke about running from building to building. My office was like a tiny, tiny building, which was actually a control point at the gate at some point, all right? And because those gates were never used at the base, we transformed this control point, right, like a checkpoint, into a press service office. And literally, I had windows looking at both sides. So I could see more or less, right, what is happening in the direction of the airport, because my window was looking that way. And I could also see what is happening inside the base, because my other windows were looking inside the base. And when the helicopters were attacking, I could actually maneuver from one side to the other side. I had this opportunity, and we had to take constant cover because they were attacking all the time, like waves after waves. So that was insane, but not as insane at the airport, because our guys were fighting Russian terrorists that landed there, and they also had to constantly evade the Russian helicopter fire. They told me about that. They were like, that was the craziest experience they had, because they later took me to the place where they were concentrated, right, where they were taking their defense position. And they're like, you see this place, a building was here, all right? We were hiding behind this building. It doesn't exist anymore. So that situation, specifically at the airport, that was hell. You got the last choice of office way before the invasion. Yeah, shortly before. Do you coordinate with Jake Bro at all? I don't, but if I need to contact Jake, potentially I can do that. One of those days, you need to discuss the Holodomor and how it happened. Yes, I can do that, and I think I already had several streams dedicated to the topic, but I can absolutely do that. To this day, I cannot understand why the morons were sent to Hostomel. So I know why they were sent, but I don't know why they sent the morons, right? Why they were sent to Hostomel? First of all, Hostomel is a big airport that can be used as a place where big cargo airplanes can land, all right? Because it was a home base for the biggest aircraft in the world, the AN-225 Mria. So why they wanted Hostomel? Hostomel is roughly, how much, like 15, 20 minutes from Kyiv. They wanted an invasion of Kyiv. They wanted to develop the invasion of Kyiv. They wanted a foothold. And that is why there were a bunch of Russian IL-76 with troops on board, with tanks and BMPs, BMDs on board. They were already in the air. They expected that the Russian Spetsnaz will just snatch the Hostomel airfield, and then they will just land and deploy all the troops, and all that huge freaking army will just rush towards Kyiv, and basically mission accomplished. But they failed. First of all, the combat that happened in Hostomel, it lasted for several hours, even considering that we actually didn't have much ammunition. Like, we had standard 4 magazines and several hundred rounds in paper packs, all right? But still, it's very interesting. So the combat lasted for several hours, and they couldn't land their aircraft because of the combat, the active combat on the ground. That is why they were circling somewhere there over Belarus, I think. And later, as a result of this combat, when we withdrew, we hit the runway, so they couldn't land at all. There was one IL-76 reported that tried to land. They also tried to land their Su-25 or something. They both failed. They decided that is just too freaking dangerous. And within a month that they stayed in Hostomel, they also tried to somehow repair the runway, all right? But again, they failed because it's not that easy. So basically, that is the reason why they were there and why they sent the morons. And another thing is that when such plan collapses, the question emerges what to do with the Russian Spetsnaz, with all those elite troops, elite Yemelyans, all right? What to do with them? Because they were not prepared for the fact that the Spetsnaz there will just remain abandoned. So when we withdrew in the end, our airborne troops arrived and basically opened a hunting season on Russian Spetsnaz, and they were searching and destroying them for the next several nights until they ran out of ammunition and had to withdraw. So that's the situation. The morons tried to invade take Hostomel because they were arrogant. Yeah, that's another reason, absolutely. They all suspected that there will be absolutely no resistance. Am I starting to get tired now? My friend, if you feel tired, just please go and take some rest, because I will go eventually, maybe in 10-15 minutes. Ellie was watching secretly the whole time. Yeah, I bet she was. Ellie is like, Starsky, what the hell are you doing here? That's highly suspicious. I can't remember who asked the other night, but I did say I'm rarely alone. That's a good way to explain it, yeah. They did the same thing in the Falkland Wars. The Vulcan bomber dropped bomb in center of the runway to stop transport aircraft using it, yeah. And this operation that, by the way, involved the Vulcan bombers, again, it's crazy because the bombers would have to fly all the way from the United Kingdom to Falklands. That's literally the other part of the world, with multiple refuelings. With the flight itself would take 10, 12 hours. And it was absolutely insane. You can just imagine what sort of endurance it required from the pilots. That entire part of the invasion screamed target practice. Yeah, starting in Hostomel, because when I talk to our conscripts, they say we take positions. We see Russian helicopters landing and those dudes just jumping out as if it's a training ground. And he says, we are given a command to open fire. We open fire. I see the Russians fall down and don't get up anymore. We're what the hell is that? And then they start move tactically, the Russians, the way they were taught. They start moving tactically, covering each other. Because before that, the first shots, he says, they literally started just falling down and they never get up. They never got up after that. And also the way they try to roll through Ukrainian cities in columns without anything, without reconnaissance, without anything. And they were ambushed every freaking time. So basically, yeah, it was kind of target practice. until they later deployed their fuckload of artillery. That was a complete disaster for the Russian terrorists. Who was it that actually blew up the Antonov? If you're talking about the Mriya, that was a result of Russian vehicles literally detonating there in the area. I received a picture from one of the Antonov employees. We are both following this topic, but he follows this topic more. So somewhere in the Russian forums, he found a picture of literally Russian truck parked under the nose, under the cockpit of Mriya, and it was on fire. It was burning after the artillery strike because there was a lot of stuff parked around the Mriya, under the wings, in front of it, the electronic warfare machines, trucks with ammunition and stuff. So when we hit all that shit, it started detonating, and apparently that was the reason why Mriya was destroyed. Because Russians brought a lot of stuff. When we went to Hostomel after it was liberated, you could see, I have footage still available on YouTube. You could see all sorts of stuff. Like there you can see a bunch of remains of artillery shells. There you can see a bunch of literally grenades. Rounds everywhere, literally scattered everywhere. Those rubber bullets to disperse crowd. So it was a mess, and it was actually very, very dangerous to walk, around in Hostomel for quite a long time after that. But what the technicians say, all right, the technicians that worked with Mriya and worked with Ruslan aircraft. So they say that the fire most obviously started somewhere on the top of the fuselage, because there they have oxygen tanks. And he told me that the oxygen probably introduced this huge fire. So maybe some kind of remains of that Russian munition, maybe the remains of Russian vehicles, because again, when we liberated Hostomel, we found a lot of burned, like literally Mriya surrounded by burned bodies of the Russian tanks, BMPs, BMPs, and all that stuff, and Russian trucks. It was literally a big pile of stuff. Like the Mriya was surrounded by all that. So you can imagine what it looked like. And again, I remember I showed you that video. Let me see if I still have it. Oh my god, what was the name? Wait a second. Roman? Maybe not Roman. Yeah, there it is. This video is no longer available. Thank you very fucking much. I had a video of literally Russian rockets that were shot from Russian helicopters like Ka-52. Rockets that stuck in the tail stabilizer of Mriya. All right. So they were disassembling the aircraft, and they actually found the Russian rocket that stuck in the stabilizer and didn't detonate. And he sent me that video. I think I showed it in some of my streams in like 2022 or 2023. I must have. I'm hoping to see some suspiciously fat stray dogs once you take back your territory. Yeah, we have that. Unfortunately, after the Russians started massively turning into fertilizer on the Ukrainian soil, we faced the problem with obesity among the stray dogs, and it's actually a big problem because you know that generally obesity is not really good for health, like in general, all right? And we faced that stuff very, very widespread around Ukrainian dogs. I think I commented on this one in like 2022. I hope Richard Branson keeps his promise to rebuild Maria or to finish the other in 225. I've heard some progress about the other one. Like they keep building it, but again, testing it at this point, it's kind of dangerous. And yeah, yeah, Homer Airport. Yeah, that's where the Russian Il-76 were landing after not being able to land in Hostomel. So I've heard that they keep building the aircraft. I think it will take years probably. Marinka, City of Forgotten Paths. Yeah, and also Marinka is first of all, it's like a town, like a big village, right? And also it's yay, yeah, I'm still awake. Can't sleep. So it's also a town of very loud hedgehogs, all right? Because when you are patrolling the area at night wearing active headphones, you can literally hear and imagine, you know, those Russian ninjas in every single freaking tree line. Because the hedgehogs, they sound like people in the bushes. Well, then it's a dog-eat-dog world. Yeah. 100%. I think Maria Corina Machado is working with Putin and Trump to try and force the US to rebuild Venezuela oil infrastructure, then hand it off to a Russian puppet. I've heard something like that. I don't think that they will hand it to Russians, all right, but they will definitely hand it to the Russian puppets. Have you seen the opening of the movie Yojimbo? I don't think so. I've been watching you since the Battle of Hostomel. Oh, really? Oh my god, that's so cool. It's so cool to actually see people that say, like, they're subscribed to my channel since, like, those times, 2022. That's absolutely crazy. Those hedgehogs. There are two absolutely nasty kinds of creatures in Donbass. First of all, their mosquitoes are hell. Seriously. They're savage. And, oh my god, good morning. Is it morning? Like 3 a.m.? What the hell? So their mosquitoes are absolutely savage. I knew about this, and first time I went to Donbass on a deployment, I had like this anti-mosquito net, all right? So I could just wear it on top of my head or helmet and basically patrol in the night, all right? Like guarding the base or things like that. And also I had gloves, and for example, I'm standing there at night. Okay, mosquitoes. I hear them buzzing. I don't give a shit. But then I'm like, all right, I'll take a smoke. So I take off my glove, and I had like those thick leather gloves, all right, from Germany, by the way. I take off my gloves, I light a cigarette, and while those like 15 seconds, all right, so I take a glove, light the cigarette, and wear the glove. My freaking fingers turn into hot dogs, like they inflate because the factors start like eating me like crazy. Those mosquitoes are absolutely insane. And I don't know why, because I cannot say that there's so many like water bodies in the area. There's a lot of fields, things like that, but mosquitoes are absolutely crazy. And then those hedgehogs, because again, you're standing there, all right, with active headphones, and you can hear absolutely everything. And the hedgehogs start like having a disco party somewhere in the bushes. It literally sounds as if your imagination starts portraying those like evil Russian ninjas, literally, with like knives in their mouths, crawling, all right, towards you. That stuff is insane. Subbed in spring of 2022 after finding Brandon Mitchell. After finding Brandon Mitchell. Ah, I see now. Because I got acquainted with my bro Brandon literally in like winter 2023. How do you ensure there are enough everywhere you fly to? What do you mean? Fly what? How do you ensure there are enough everywhere you fly to? Are they the same as, say, for a 747 or an Airbus? Who? Let me know what you're talking about. Because that's my topic, that's aviation. Listening posts and the crazy squirrel races, yeah. I guess you have to fly on them. The cargo plane has its own cargo plane. I started subscribing to Starsky channel when I saw Russian forces crossing the border into Ukraine on February. I think I started, I think it was around the time, but just a bit later, because I think I created the English channel or started running my channel in English literally a couple of weeks after that, because we were making videos like daily reports for Ukrainian society with my friend, different press officer from a different brigade. And then like literally several weeks after that, we decided that we should also make content in English. I didn't know that I was literally among few Ukrainians who spoke English, turns out. Yeah, but it was crazy. Got my food grabbed by a baboon in the middle of the night. Yikes. I can imagine that. I would actually love it if they had cope cages for horses. I think they have cope cages for ships already, like the huge ones. I would guess the AN 225 would carry a few spares if they have room. Spares of what? My friends, what are you talking about? We're talking about Maria. I see. Yeah. I hope Maria doesn't use the Boeing parts. No. They don't use the Boeing parts 100% because there's blueprints. And if you modify the initial blueprint, then whatever you have is not Maria anymore. Yeah, Maria might use the engines, but I don't think that's the case. Because most probably you should also modify like the whole fuel system for that. So I don't know. Yeah, a couple of weeks after February 21st. Yeah, it was interesting because all of a sudden I started receiving commentaries from people from around the world, and I asked the guys in the commentaries, how did you find me at all? Like, because I thought that some probably media outlet reposted some of my videos somewhere. But it turns out that people literally found me somewhere in Related. I briefly left the stream, and on coming back I had an ad for a video game, Last Z Survival. Ah, that's sweet. My family member was totally pissed off as their birthday is February 24th. Screwed up the day. Russian strike on Ukrainian Children's Hospital also screwed up my birthday, because I don't feel like celebrating it anymore. My friend had his pulled by a hyena checking if he was still alive. Holy yikes. It's lunchtime, which means that it's the middle of the night. Yeah, it's literally almost 4 a.m. And I think, my friends, in approximately 10 minutes, I'll be going to bed myself. Before the stream, I had like a tiny chivapchichi, right? Just to keep afloat, all right? Just to keep running. I predict that the new Ukrainian airspace industry will contain surprises for everyone, and I can hardly wait. Papa Dutch, I really, really hope so. I'm really looking forward to seeing Ukrainian air industry actually developing after the war. We will have so many cool ideas. Oh my God. Considering the fact that we already operate the aircraft that are operated by NATO armies, and considering the fact that we are also using aircraft for different crazy purpose. For example, the Shark light sport aircraft used to intercept and redirect Shahed drones, all right? Because it's very interesting. Shahed attacks happen primarily at night. You don't really fly LSA at night, right? Because it's forbidden, all right? Well, based on the limitations in the pilot operating handbook and stuff like that, and based on, the local rules and stuff, but generally, LSA are not flown at night. But in Ukraine, you can see them flying every single night when there's a Shahed strike. So, the best video game that's came out so far is Destiny Rising. If the Ukrainian soldiers need a place to unwind, I really recommend it. The Destiny franchise is huge since PlayStation. I'll keep that in mind, though I don't have this need like Ukrainian soldiers that are fighting there every single day in the trenches, but I will check it out. We found your channel and could see ourselves in the reflection of your head, so we stayed. Ah, I know. So that's how it worked. All right, I will know. I will know. Like literally, you were staring in the screen and you literally saw your reflection. That is why apparently you decided to subscribe. That's cool. That's cool. Good night, Claire. Let's hope your Rubizh guys get to Euro 8000 quick as a flash. Yes, hopefully. And basically, I think I will wrap this one up as well, because it's almost 4 a.m. I have to theoretically wake up in 3 hours, and 2 hours. I will have something tasty. I will treat myself, because this is something that, keeps me running and keeps me happy. And if it helped me, it will definitely help you as well. So, my dear friends, treat yourself with something good. Have a good night or good day wherever you are. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for sharing this chatter with me, because insomnia streams are very, very interesting, actually. We can discuss literally anything and trash anyone. Also, big thanks to everyone who donated. We're almost there. We are crossing 7,000 out of 11,000 euro for a truck for my guys, the glorious Hostomel Rubizh Brigade. Big thanks to everyone who supports. Big thanks to our moderators. Big thanks to our members. And big thanks to everyone who supports my country and my people, and basically all the values that we share, freedom and democracy. Thank you so much. Be safe. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.